our entire species was being exterminated. I remember seeing thousands of us just being destroyed at once with one explosion here, one explosion there. Everything was being decimated, killed in a matter of a very short time. All of the horrible actions that I had done, it just like hit me like a karmic tsunami. I realized I had nothing left to fix. It's all lost. The next thing I knew, I was incarnating on this planet. I was being taught by Mother Earth about love, about harmony, this loving, beautiful planet that has so many beautiful creatures and all these plants and animals. The abundance we have on this planet, it's just so unprecedented. Humans are real magicians. They can create anything they want just by thinking about it. It's crazy to look at incredibly powerful beings who are living on this incredible planet, who have all the resources, all the potential, and who are choosing to create destruction. I was ready to do things better. This time, not allow the destruction to take place and speak up before it's too late. If humans collectively decided today that they wanted to create a beautiful planet, they could do it so easily. They really have that power.
I've tried a lot of energy healing modalities over the years, and as an energy sensitive, I can easily tell if something is legitimate. Hands down, one of my best experiences has been with Jamie of Refractive Healing. Refractive healing is a unique technique that channels rainbow light energy through your energy body. And let me tell you, I could feel its calming and supportive light flowing downward through my crown. I even received a physical healing during my session. I cannot recommend Jamie's work highly enough. Book your $22 Refractive Boost Distant Healing Session with Jamie today at refractivehealing.com. Check the description or the pinned comment for the link. Thank you to Refractive Healing for partnering with me in this video.
Today I am here with Valentina, and she has a very unique story. So I'd like to invite you to just start by sharing past life memories that you've had come up in whatever way is comfortable for you.
Sure, thank you. And if anything is unclear as I tell this story, please let me know. This was as hard for me to put together as it is probably a difficult story to tell and to share. So I was spending a lot of time in nature during the times of the pandemic. I decided to spend a lot of time in the wilderness to meditate and for my inner work. And that's when I started to get my first flash of a past memory. Now, this is not the first time I get a flashback of some memory of the past or even a past life, but this one was very particular. There was something very unique about it. It felt, first of all, it felt extremely strong. Like there was an extremely strong emotion tied to it, something almost an urgent feeling to it. But also the surrounding of it was so incredibly unfamiliar. I looked around me, it was like a very unfamiliar environment. It looked sort of like a spaceship environment, actually. And even I looked very different. So, but the thing that I remembered the most about the memory was the shocking emotion. It was such a painful feeling. It was an extreme pain. And I didn't know why I was feeling that. So I decided to dig deeper and just as I meditated, I allowed more of those flashbacks to come in to understand what I was remembering and what was that I was feeling. And slowly, as more of those memories came back in, I started to put together the pieces of the puzzle, the story. And all of it, as I started to understand it, it all started to make sense, especially in relation to my life here, this particular life, why I'm here, why I'm doing what I'm doing, why I have a certain feeling ever since I was born that I'm on a mission here, that I have something really important to do, and so many other things that I could not really explain, and it all made sense. So I guess I will start with the first memory that I remembered. And I was basically on a spaceship and I was escaping, and my planet was being destroyed. So I was part of a species that we lived on that planet as a collective species. We were not human. We were something that the best way I can describe it is something more related to an insect, like a kind of insectoid. but we did have a lot of human abilities. It was just a very different way of thinking, and also we looked different. So we were being destroyed, and I remember I was on the spaceship. I was escaping my planet, and however, I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have much time left because our entire species was being exterminated. And I remember that I had nothing to do, nowhere to go. I was lost. I had nothing left. And so I just sat there and I just waited and just allowed myself to reflect back on the past, on my previous choices and on my past in the past of that life. And as I was reflecting back and I was just sitting there, just thinking about my life, suddenly all of these understanding about my life came to me. I was hit by a sort of like a kind of tsunami of truth, of things that I had not seen until that moment, of realizations that I had not understood until then. It all hit me during that time where I was just sitting there and just waiting for nothing because I had nowhere to go. And it was really difficult because I could see all of the things that I had done in the past. In my species, we were a very different species. We were a very collective functioning species. And for many, many lifetimes in that species where I had been incarnating, we were basically just slaves. We were a slave species and we were basically just obeying orders of another species. So we were indoctrinated from childhood, from birth. We were put into a kind of a sort of a military system where we were being trained and brainwashed, and basically we were being enslaved. So all our life was about just serving our masters, just serving our lords. That was the entire meaning of our lives. We didn't have anything else to do. So some of us were technicians, some of us were soldiers. We had many different kinds of functions, but ultimately we were just serving our masters. And during that time when I was incarnating in that species for several lifetimes, I I remember we were treating those masters, we were treating them as kind of gods. So we saw them as these incredible superior beings. We thought that they were much higher than us. We thought that they were much better than us, and we thought that by serving them, we were basically serving the universe. We really believed that. So we thought that the best thing we could do for our honor was to serve them. I had many lifetimes in that particular slave species, and I remember that all of my life aspiration was to serve those masters. Now, we were an intelligent species. We were not completely dumb. And eventually we started to figure out what was really going on. We started to understand some glitches of the truth started to come up out of the indoctrinations and brainwashing. And we started to realize that actually we were being used. I had one particular lifetime where I was being trained as some sort of super soldier, and I I thought that was the highest honor for my life. But by the time that I reached that status or that level, I was still feeling so unhappy, so unsatisfied, even disgusted with my life. Because ultimately all of my abilities were being used to kill, to destroy, to conquer, and so on. There was nothing satisfying about that. And so I was actually really feeling disgusted with myself, with my choices, and I couldn't understand what was the point of that. So I, me and many others started to have these kinds of awakenings. We started to sort of put things together and make sense of it and understand that actually we were not truly the servants of some god. We were not actually serving the good of the universe. That in fact we were being exploited as slaves by a tyrannical species. And by the time we figured that out, we were not the way we thought. It wasn't like humans. So we were very collective in our thinking. So it was very telepathic. So when one of us understood something, the rest of us kind of got it at the same time. We were very collectively oriented. It was like humans, they can hide things from each other, we couldn't really do that. So basically, by the time that most of us started to understand and put things together, we were all done. We were all rebelling. We were not going to tolerate it anymore. We were not going to serve those masters anymore. We collectively together, we decided that's it. We're done with this. We had it, and we're going to rebel. We're going to say no. It was a decision that for us, it was very logical. We were very intelligent and logical species in that sense. So it made sense for us. We didn't have a lot of obstacles in making that decision. However, what happened is that our masters, they were prepared for something like that. So they knew that we were pretty smart, and it was very difficult to keep us indoctrinated. And they were ready they had a contingency plan for something like that happening. So by the time we rebelled, they started their contingency plan, and they started to exterminate us. And that was the last lifetime that I remember from that entire journey in that species, where our entire planet was being destroyed. So I remember seeing thousands of us just being destroyed at once, with just one explosion here, one explosion there. It was just everything was being decimated. And that's basically the first lifetime that I remember is that one where it was an Armageddon. So that was basically the most important lifetime that I remember, because it left a really, really deep mark on my soul. And everything was being destroyed and exterminated, and my entire species was being killed in a matter of a very short time. So there was nothing left. And I found a ship or something that was broken. I was supposed to be broken, and I was able to somehow escape on that ship. And I was sitting there, and I basically had lost everything. I had nothing left. Everything I had known until that moment was basically being destroyed in front of my eyes. There was nothing left for me. I had nowhere to go. And I didn't have like another planet that I could go to or anything like that. It was my entire life, my entire species, everything I had known turned out to be a lie. And so I was just sitting there reflecting on the past. And mind you that, in our lifetime, we didn't really have any time to think. We were constantly put under pressure and distracted. We were kept very busy, so that we didn't really have time to think about these sort of deeper philosophical things. So when I was sitting on that ship, finally, I just had time for myself. I was finally completely free. I had no distractions. I wasn't busy. I didn't have anything to do. I was just basically sitting there waiting to die. And so I had literally nothing left to lose, except to just allow the truth to come to me, because ultimately, like I said, we were not stupid. We were pretty smart. So if we thought about things, we could figure things out pretty quickly. And like I said, it was the way it felt. The way I can describe it, it's almost like I decided to just surrender. I was like, okay, that's it. I lost everything. Everything I believed in, everything I worked for, everything I lived for, it's all gone. What else is there? It almost felt like I was just like asking God, just tell me, like, I don't understand. And it was almost like a tsunami of these realizations that came to me, all of the truths of first of all, the horror atrocities that I have been doing for years and years, following the orders of those masters, the reality of the destruction I had created, all of these lives I had destroyed, all of this suffering I had created, and all of the horrible actions that I had done. It just like hit me, just like kind of like a karmic tsunami, I guess you could define it that way. It just felt the reality of it. And it was the most painful thing that I cannot even describe how painful it was to feel all of that. But at the same time, because I had literally had nothing else to lose, I was just open to it. I was just completely surrendered to it. I was like, yeah, whatever it is, I just want to see the truth. And so I just allowed all of that realization to come to me. And as all of this reality unfolded, of all the suffering I caused, all the pain I caused, all the destruction that I did in the name of those masters, at the same time, it was extremely painful, but in a way, it was also extremely healing, because for the first time in, as far as I can remember, for the first time, I knew the truth. For the first time, I saw the truth, the reality of how things really were. There was no more illusion. There was no more distraction, lying, manipulation. It was just that, yeah, the truth of it is just the pain that I had caused. It all just was showing in front of me. And it was excruciatingly painful, but I just, like I said, I had nothing left and nothing to lose. I was going to die anyway. So I was just sitting there feeling all of that and allowing all of that to sink in, and just realizing, okay, those are the mistakes I've made. And, I really did screw up really badly. And basically I was about to die, and I was just sitting there with all those realizations, and I realized I had nothing left to recuperate, nothing left to fix. It's all gone. It's all lost. And there's nothing else that I can do. I said something just before dying. I formulated a thought. I think I even spoke it out loud. It was sort of like a telepathic message I sent out there. And I said, I understand now what I've done. I know where I went wrong. I can see all of the horrible things I have caused. And I understand now what I participated in, or what I allowed, what I tolerated, what I accomplished by being part of this, and all of the mistakes I made, and all the horrible choices I made. And I understand that, and I know it's too late for me. I know there's no recuperation, there's no fixing, there's nothing that I can do. There's no going back. And all I'm asking, second chance. That's all I said. It was literally the last thing I said before dying in that lifetime. And that was it. And I don't know exactly what happened, but the next thing I knew, I was incarnating on this planet, and as I was being taught by Mother Earth about love, about harmony, about cooperation and beauty, and all these things that were so foreign to me because I have never seen this before. I know this might sound strange for people who live here, but for many lifetimes, I did not know any of this. And for me to be here and welcome in this loving, beautiful planet that is so abundant, so full of love, and has so many beautiful creatures and all these plants and animals, I was just stunned. I was just in awe. And I don't remember a lot of my lifetimes here, but I do remember a few lifetimes where I was basically being taught lessons of cooperation and understanding and empathy, things like that I had no experience with. So in one lifetime, I remember being an animal. In another, I was in an Aboriginal village, and all kinds of lifetimes like that, where I was basically being trained from ground zero about all of the principles of Mother Earth. And so and it lasted for quite a while. I don't know exactly how long this training went on for, but what I do know is that when I came into this lifetime, I was basically ready. I was ready to fulfill the promise that I made, the prayer that I asked in my last lifetime in the previous species. And I was ready to finally fulfill my promise and be here to have another chance, and this time do things better. This time not allow the destruction to take place, and speak up before it's before it's too late. And so I came here now in this lifetime ready for my purpose, and that's why it's coming back all together now. All of the training I received from Mother Earth, but also the memories of why I came here, why I came to this planet, and why it is so important to me and to many others. And so what I really learned by living on this planet, on Mother Earth, is just how much love, how she has for all of her children, all of her creatures. how deeply she loves all of them. She loves all of us so much. It's really incredible. I never experienced so much love before. And all of her creatures, all of her plants, all of her animals, and us humans. And what she really desires so deeply for us is that we come together with her into this vision of harmony and beauty and love and abundance that she already is envisioning. She's already carrying forward. So this is what she wants for all of us, all of her children. And she called, I'm not the only one who came here from other planets. There are many others who came here to help humanity, because humans have gotten quite lost, and they needed some guidance. They needed a reminder of who they are and what an incredible privilege it is to be on this planet, how lucky we are to be here. I mean, sometimes it's just, I don't know if people realize how much just creativity and artistry and love goes into the creation of every flower and every plant and every insect and the rivers and the oceans and all of this, the abundance we have on this planet. It's just so unprecedented. It's so beautiful. And so I want to remind humans how lucky we are to be here, to have an opportunity to be on this beautiful planet that loves us so much and that really, really wants us to collaborate with her to create a future of abundance. And we don't have to use our energy to hurt one another, to harm one another, to combat and to fight. We don't have to do that. It's a choice. It's a choice. We can make a choice to do that, but we can also make a choice instead to co-create the paradise that Mother Earth wants to create. She's already envisioning that. She's already envisioning this beautiful future, and she wants us to participate. And I think a lot of humans have lost their understanding of how beautiful this place is, what a privilege it is to be here, and what an honor to be able to be a part of this beautiful vision that Mother Earth has to co-create this beautiful place of love. And I think we have forgotten that partly because we're given this for granted. Even though my previous lifetimes in the other planet were a really long time ago, as far as I can tell, because the memory is so alive within me, especially, that last life, it was such an incredible pain that I went through. I don't take anything here for granted. I understand how incredibly lucky I am to be here, because even the worst day in my life here, and I had really, really horrific days on this life, even the worst day of my life here is still a paradise compared to where I came from. It is still amazingly so much better compared to where I was before. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, how even in the worst time, we still are receiving the air. We're still receiving water. We're still receiving food. There's still love coming from this planet all the time. And it's just never ending. It's so unconditional. And she's always there for us. If we get lost, if we get sick, she's there to heal us. She's there to help us. And so, yeah, basically that's in a nutshell my message. And I hope I was able to convey it and make it come through, because it's always very emotional for me to go through this. So sometimes I never know exactly how I'm able to convey it well. So thank you so much for listening to this story.
Thank you so much for being willing to share. I'm sure, like you said, it's not easy to talk about.
No,
Are you familiar with a channel text called Law of One?
a channel text? I'm not sure.
Okay, the reason why I ask is because they, in that text, describe what sounds like exactly what you're talking about. So basically, it's like a really metaphysical explanation of the
Mm-hmm.
universe and how spiritual evolution works.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about how there's two paths that spiritual beings like ourselves can take to know the creator and to become one with source. And the one path, which is predominant in the universe, is the service to others path, which is based on love and cooperation. And then the other path is the service to self path, which is based on control, manipulation of others. And that text describes planets like what you were talking about, where there's enslavement of the entire population. And so it's just really interesting to hear your perspective, having been part of that, having been part of the species that was being enslaved.
What I can say about the service to self, because I forgot to mention that I also, before incarnating as the slave species, I incarnated as the master species. Well, in terms of timeline, that's how it feels to me that it was before, but time is very relative in these scenarios. And I actually remembered also a couple of lives where I was incarnated as one of the masters, the tyrants, the predators. And the way that I can describe those lives is that it is the darkest, the deepest darkness you can imagine. No love at all, nothing, no connection, no memory of who I am. It's just complete darkness and complete unstoppable pain. And that's the existence that I had in those lifetimes. It was just, I guess the best way I can describe it, it was demonic. It was just like being a demon. That's how it felt like. And so that's where my path, as far as I remember, started. I'm sure I had lives before that, but I can't remember that. So it was the darkest place. That even being a slave was so much better than that. It was it was so much a higher quality of life compared to being the tyrant. I think we idealize people who are super powerful and conquering. We have a tendency in our society to idealize these people, to think they're so much better, so superior. And although we don't understand, these people are in extreme pain. They're in such extreme pain that they're so lost in the darkness, they don't even know who they are at all. It's even a slave has a better life. It's something that a lot of people don't understand. Like a lot of these powerful dictators that we worship in the world and systems that are so oppressive and violent and based on power and divide and conquer and all of that, it's all stemming from pain and suffering, and the deepest level of it, like the darkest level of it, that is just unimaginable. I can only imagine it at this point. It's even hard for me to go into that life and really channel it because it's just so far from where I am right now. But it is that level of extreme darkness exists. I just want to make people aware of that level of darkness also exists. And choices can take us there. Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned that when you were part of the enslaved species, although you were doing what you were told and you were brainwashed into worshiping your masters as gods, but there was still consequences for those actions. I even think about where the world is today, and there's definitely powers that are trying to enslave humanity. What is the right way to fight back against those powers without ending up being completely destroyed?
That's a wonderful question. And it's one that I ask myself too, because there's no right or wrong answer to that. And, I think the people who go on the street to protest are just as valuable as the people who are trying to create eco villages, are just as valuable as the people who are trying to heal. So there are so many different ways to get out of that system. And obviously I don't have all the answers. All I can say is that, yes, there are consequences, but it doesn't matter if how much. It doesn't matter how high is the authority that is telling us to do something. It doesn't matter how much power they have. It doesn't matter how much they can threaten us. If what we're doing is causing suffering, is causing pain to us or to others, the consequences are still going to manifest. So it's not just that just because everybody else is doing something that means that somehow the laws of the universe are suspended. That's still what we're creating. We're still manifesting that reality. We're still choosing to participate in that reality. We're still creating that karma, if you will. And so, absolutely. Everybody is 100% responsible for their choices. It doesn't matter if they're choosing under the worst possible pressure or if they're making that choice in an easy moment. That choice still matters. It still has consequences. So everybody has to choose depending on their particular situation. I cannot speak for everybody's life and conditions, but in my case, I would say stand with your truth no matter what. Like it doesn't matter if everybody else is lying around you, if everybody else is trying to convince you to do something that feels wrong, it doesn't matter. Still believe in yourself, still believe in your own truth. Listen to that voice deep inside of you that is trying to guide you, that is trying to tell you this is wrong, because everybody has that voice, even though sometimes it's so suffocated under so many layers of programming and trauma. It's still, if we really listen and connect enough, we can tap into that voice, the inner truth, the heart chakra, and that is always trying to guide us for the well-being of the collective, for the most harmonious choices, for the choices that are most reflective of our higher self. So I guess my answer to that is try to really listen to yourself really deeply, not so much to what you're told, not so much to what everybody's telling you to do. So
This is kind of a difficult question, maybe, but do you have any thoughts as to why the creator allows people to go down a path where they become so dark and so much in pain that they would enslave another species?
because we're here to learn about ourselves. A lot of people believe that the creator is like all knowing and knows everything and has all the answers, but I believe he's learning about life through us.
Mm.
I think it's our mistakes, our choices that inform the universe, of the greater cosmos, about what we really want, what we don't want, what is causing the suffering, what is not causing suffering, what is causing joy. How can we create a better outcome? So I think we're learning, we're evolving, and that's the whole point of this physical universe. So I mean, I don't have an answer, to that, except that I believe that we all need to go through a learning process to be able to understand. I mean, even the lifetime, the past that my soul went through, it's as horrific as it was. There is a kind of gem to it, because there's so much wisdom, if you will, that I gained from this soul path. There's so much, like, the appreciation that I have for life is just such an incredible gift, to be able to really truly appreciate and every gift that is given by life. Having that gift of appreciation is so beautiful. And, to some degree, I had to go through not having it in order to really appreciate it. I had to go through not receiving any of this to be able to really appreciate receiving it. I guess it's contrast, what people call law of polarity. You need darkness to have light and all of that. But of course, we don't have to go to this degree of darkness. That's a choice. That's a free will choice that we make, and we don't have to go that far into darkness to learn certain things. In my opinion, I think we can avoid a lot of those paths and learn faster, easier way by simply choosing to be more connected, more loving, more in intuition with our true self, so we don't have to repeat all those past mistakes again.
Right. Yeah, I really, really love hearing your experience of incarnating on Earth, because I would say most of the time when I talk to people, or even people in the comments section, it's more of a negative attitude towards Earth. Like, it's so hard here, it's hell here, and why is it so difficult? And I 100% understand that, because there are horrific things that people go through. But hearing your perspective as somebody who's been somewhere much worse, and how absolutely beautiful and full of life it is here, and just the harmony and love that even comes from our planet. I really loved hearing that.
Yes, and I know this might sound strange to a lot of people, because I know things can get really dark on this planet too. I had a taste of that, especially in this particular life. And it might seem strange to know that no matter how low things get here, it is still a paradise high compared to where I was before. Like, it is still much better, like much more preferable to have the worst possible life on this planet than to have the lives that I had in this life planet before. Because Here there is a sense of love. There is a sense of connection that there was none of that at all there. And it's something that it's a bit difficult to convey to humans because yeah, when we're used to having something, it's so easy to give it for granted. It's so easy to just give all of the trees and the leaves and the flowers and the animals for granted. But do you realize how much work, how much love of co-creation, and just how much artistry and technology and wisdom has gone into the creation of every flower, of every blade of grass, and every animal, every tree, every insect? I mean, when you ponder that, you realize there is an incredible amount of love on this planet, and it's been going on for millions of years. And it's such an incredible privilege to witness the results of this masterpiece that has been worked on for millions of years, billions of years. And we're here to experience the result of this masterpiece, that took so long to create with so much love, so much dedication. And there are other planets where none of this exists, where you don't get to see trees, you don't get to see rivers, you don't get to see water flowing freely, you don't get to see, flowers, and none of this stuff. And so, yeah, it's definitely not granted. It's definitely not something to take for granted.
Right. I've heard that from multiple other people who have seen other planets during their near-death experiences or things like that, who will say that Earth has such a variety of different species here that you don't really see anywhere else. And I think we definitely do take that for granted.
Yeah, yeah. And I just, I want to convey to people that, of course, everybody has free will. And of course, we're not forced to stay here. Ultimately, if someone decides they want to go on a different planet in their next incarnation, that's their choice. To some degree, it's a choice. But I think we have such an amazing opportunity, especially given the vision that Mother Earth has for her future. We have this incredible opportunity to be part of the co-creation of a planet, of a paradise planet, basically. It is such an amazing honor to be here, such an amazing privilege. And I want to encourage people to not lose this opportunity, to really take it on and really participate in this co-creation, because who knows, when we get another opportunity like this. And like I said, I mean, I don't know in terms of the time. I don't know how long exactly, how many years, or I was in other planets, but it felt like an extremely, extremely long time. It could have been, thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years that I was stuck there with none of this stuff. We have free will, so we can go as down in the darkness as we want, and we can go as high in the light, and it's really our choice. And I just wish people make this choice more consciously, so that if we do, if someone doesn't like this planet, that's completely acceptable and understandable, but also to understand what they might be giving up, because it's a really incredible opportunity, in my opinion, to be here.
Do you have any thoughts on what may have happened to the other members of your species on the other planet?
I wish I knew. I searched for them. The thing is, I wouldn't even know how to recognize them because they're probably in a different form now. It was a really long time ago. Um, there is a person I met that sort of reminds me a little bit, but I'm not sure, and he doesn't remember. So I don't know. I really don't know. If anybody else remembers to be on the planet I was in, please let me know. Because I haven't found anybody else. I don't know where they went. I'm sure some of them might have come to this planet as well. So I'm sure there might be some of them here. To be more specific, the way I remember it, we looked kind of like giant cockroaches. It was like brownish in color, sort of shine, like our skin was kind of shining. And we were, I think, taller than humans, but it's difficult to remember these details. But we were very intelligent in terms of like computational intel, like we were very calculating, very logical, and very telepathic, but not as emotional as humans. We didn't have all the creative potential, all the emotional potential that humans have, and that's by the way another thing a lot that humans, I think, give for granted, or is how much potential humans have. It's just amazing. I really been enjoying the creative aspect of being a human. It's so amazing to be able to create so much. It's just so incredible. A very new experience as well. And we were not as creative. We didn't have this creative power that humans had. We could solve problems, we could calculate, but that was about it. Humans are real magicians. They're real. They can create anything they want just by thinking about it and start to act on it. They really can create anything. It's so amazing. Such an incredible form to be experiencing life in. And they have so many emotions. It's really amazing.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's another thing that I hadn't really thought about, because a lot of times we'll see our emotions as more of a negative thing, but yeah, they're also the source of our creative potential.
Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of the other species, it's really like looking at magicians, because humans really have this creative life force that is their emotions, and they can channel it to really create all these amazing things. And of course, they can channel it to create horrors as well, which is what we're seeing on the planet now. And they can channel this energy to create horrible things, but they can also channel it to create amazing, beautiful things. It's such an incredible power that humans have. It's just, and yeah, I'm really taking a lot of delight in this in this lifetime, just being an artist and all these different things, because it's something so beautiful to be able to manifest your thoughts so easily. It's something that is very unique to humans, and it's why humans are so incredibly powerful creators. And that's why they have the potential to collaborate with Earth and create and co-create this beautiful paradise. They do have the potential to do that very easily, very quickly, if they choose to do that. But at the same time, they also have the potential to create hell constructs on this planet and horrific scenarios and so on. So we really are very powerful beings, and the way we use our power really makes a huge difference.
I remember that you said something about how you see humans doing some of the same things that could lead to tyranny happening on our planet.
Oh yeah, the humans have been doing this for a long time. It's in a way, it's almost crazy, for lack of a better word, to look at these incredibly powerful beings who are living on this incredible planet, who have all the resources, all the potential, and who are choosing it to create destruction. It's like from from my logic, it makes no sense, but
Yeah.
from the human emotional and all of that, which I'm working on so much in this life, I understand where that comes from. It comes from the trauma. It comes from all the layers of the repression and the brainwashing indoctrination, but mostly the trauma. We're so traumatized when we come into this society, and so of course that's why humans. That's the reason humans are repeating these really dysfunctional, harmful patterns. But we really don't have to. Like, if humans collectively decided, let's say today, that they're done with this and they wanted to instead create a beautiful planet, they could do it so easily. They really have that power. And I think that's another thing about humans is that they really underestimate themselves so much. They underestimate their potential, their power, their creative abilities so much. And so that's why what I see happening a lot is that because humans underestimate their potential, they allow themselves to be used by negative entities to create a negative potential. Like, for example, by absorbing negative thoughts from like the media and so on, that's actually what they're creating, because their thoughts are so powerful. So if instead of focusing on those thoughts, we focus on the vision of thoughts that we actually want, things that make us happy, that bring us joy and connection and love and potential, we can instead create that. So I think a lot of humans really don't understand really how much power they have, because they have been so traumatized. When children come into the society, they get traumatized by their family system, the school system that tells us, no, you have to obey, you can't think they get really traumatized. So they forget that actually that they're magicians. So yeah, they can really create the most beautiful life they want for themselves. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that we can avoid pain. Just make that clear. But pain as a tool to understand where not to go is a very different thing than pain used as a tool to create suffering. So just to make that distinction.
I love that. So, what do you think it would take practically for us to make that change you're talking about? Because I agree with you that it could happen overnight, but then there would be some people, to play devil's advocate, who would argue about the logistics of that because our entire way of life would have to basically come crashing down and we would have to start from ground zero. Or what are your thoughts on that?
I would say that's one of the belief systems that is limiting humans so much,
Mm.
is the idea that in order to create something, we have to destroy something else.
Ah.
I don't believe that. It's like, I mean, yes, to some degree, of course, things have to die and so on. But if you look at nature and the way that she regenerates and recycles everything, nothing goes to waste, right? Nothing is like just even when a plant dies, it becomes nourishment for another plant. It becomes food for another thing. So everything is recycled, everything is transformed, and ultimately, energy cannot be destroyed, right? It can only be transformed. So instead of thinking in that way, I would say, let's think about how to transform what we currently have rather than say, well, we have to crash it down and destroy it. And no, how can we transform it? Maybe we don't have to destroy it. Maybe we just have to adapt it. Maybe we just have to make a few changes here and there and just using our creative potential. I really believe anything is possible. So I don't know if that answers, that was the answer to what you were asking.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Valentina, would you like to share where people can find out more about you?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, www.vappole.com/about. That's where they can find some information about me, and they can contact me as well if they have any questions or any information that they would like.
Okay, I will have that link in the description as well as your YouTube, which you sent me.
Yes, most of my videos are in Italian. I'm sorry about that, so maybe not easy to follow for your audience, but yeah.
I think there's an option where people can put on subtitles
Yeah,
for whatever language that
yeah.
they speak. Do you have any final message that you'd like to share before we go?
I just want to say again, thank you so much, Melissa, for this opportunity and for just creating this amazing space where people can share these kinds of stories that I think are really important to hear, especially in this day and age where we're so caught up in the materialistic point of view. And, we need a reminder that we're more than just a piece of meat here. And there's more to life than meets the eye. And so thank you so much for allowing the sharing of these stories in such a beautiful, safe space. And I hope that my story was inspiring to some people, that maybe it was encouraging to some people, or at least a reminder of maybe that our life has much more potential and more importance that we give credit to ourselves. And sometimes I know it's so easy to get lost in the routine of things and the programs, and it's easy to believe that we're powerless and that we have, I have those days too, but it's not like I'm better than anybody else. And I just want to remind people that it's okay to have difficult days, and it's okay to struggle, and it's just part of life, and we can still appreciate it. We can still see the beauty in all of it. We can still appreciate the fact that we are here, the fact that we're breathing and living and just being a part of this. Even just appreciation. It's just, it's such a beautiful experience to be here. If we capture those beautiful moments that come to us. And I know it's difficult. I know that in practice, making changes is not easy because there's so many obstacles, and I'm not minimizing that. I know there are a lot of practical obstacles, and I just want to encourage people to not give up.
Thank you so much for being willing to share. This has been one of the most inspiring conversations that I've had, and you've definitely inspired me and made me more excited about my own life to see what good I can do with it and what I can create, and to be more appreciative of the environment that I live in. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, Melissa. I'm so honored to be here on your podcast. And thank you for all the people listening. And I send you a lot of love, and thank you for being a part of this amazing journey with us and with this planet.
Of course.